emotion aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, whether threat is real or imagined. The feeling or condition of being afraid. Here's the scenario. And your parents will try to do it to you if you're living with your parents, and I can guarantee that your parents did it to you if you're raising children. Guilt, not paying attention. And what happens is, when you feel guilt, whether you're Catholic, Jewish, Italian, the concept of guilt is I've done something wrong. Therefore, I am bad. If I am bad, I deserve to be punished. If you don't punish me, I will punish myself in a self-punitive way. That's the way it goes. And the more you struggle with that, the more you struggle with the guilt, it becomes this syndrome which immobilizes you because you're too damn scared to say, I'm not a bad person. And these are the dimensions of guilt and fear. And you know what? There's only a couple here that are bad. Blame. It's your fault. I'm guilty. I'm bad. I'm not doing it. No, it is my fault. I deserve to be blamed. Let's move on. You're right. Doesn't make me a bad person. Shame. I'm ashamed of what I did. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it. It was wrong. I embarrassed you. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Doesn't make me a bad person. I'm not guilty. I'm a jerk. I'm an a-hole, but I'm not a bad person. I made a mistake. But you can see how that'll move you right into the dimension of feeling guilty that you did something. Disgrace, wickedness. The big one is failing. I didn't make the Olympic team, folks. Man, do I feel guilty. Not! I failed a test. I failed in a relationship. I failed in a marriage. I failed with my kids. I'm a bad mother. I'm a bad father. I didn't do a perfect job with my kids. Boy, do I feel guilty. And you get shackled by that guilt. And that pathology, that mishidas, that turbulence continues. You're not bad. You are not bad. You made a mistake. And you can learn from that mistake. You can continue on the journey. You're not stuck in this guilt, this jail of guilt like on a Monopoly board. You're not. You think you are because your baggage from where you came from is over here and you're safe in it. And you buy into it. I'm guilty, I'm bad, I have to stay here. Whenever you get scared, where do you go? You go to mom. You go where it's safe. So guilt is a safe haven because I don't have to move. I'm afraid, it's okay. Any questions? I'm going to expand on this a little bit more. But this is critical in the next steps. Because when we become locked up in this fear-guilt complex, and again, I'm not saying guilt is bad, I'm saying guilt is displaced and overused. We get lost in the sense of ourselves as a reliable source of wisdom as we need to navigate through our lives. We start doubting ourselves. We start second-guessing ourselves and don't think we're competent to do it. We achieve competency at times in the workplace. We have areas of competence. And what happens is in this dimension as a reliable source of wisdom as we navigate through our lives, I guarantee it, it's human behavior. You stay in your areas of comfort. So if I'm comfortable with my area of expertise on a ski slope, I'm going to try to meet my friends on a ski slope because I'm secure there. If I'm comfortable in an artist studio, and it's more comfortable there than in a home, I'm going to spend a lot of time there. If I'm comfortable avoiding something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to stay where I have experience navigating and avoid the area where there's discomfort. In Westchester County, in the areas of affluence, this slide is what I think another pivotal point. There were, by the way, there were 148 slides when this deck was first done. There are only 40 in here. This slide would not be appropriate in a poverty-stricken area. But for many, their journey, its destination is success. And it's linear, two-dimensional. Very simple. Time between birth and death and the acquisition of assets. I cannot tell you how many people use surrogates for success and the symbols of success to define themselves. Give you an example. I was at a party in a fairly affluent area of New Jersey. And I'm standing outside with my host's son, who's my age, and this is what they were saying. And I quote, "Steve's driving the Jaguar today. I wonder where the Porsche is." Huh. Oh, he had to sell the Porsche. Oh, God, you know how bad that is? I can't believe he's coming in that car. Everything was predicated, and then it went on. It went on to whether or not a certain ring was won, watch was won, whatever. Let me tell you the other side of that. I had a client, and this client loved Rolex watches. Why? Because when this client was a little kid, does everybody here know what a Rolex is? When this client was a little kid, a friend of his was given a Rolex. And this client fell in love with Rolex watches. And his goal was to own a Rolex one day. And I'm working with this young man, who's my age. And one day he came into my office and he had a huge smile on his face. And I said, "What's up?" He said, "I walked into a jewelry store. I earned the money. I went up to the guy with my wife. He took out that Rolex. And he knew I wanted it. I put it on my wrist. And I looked at it. I gave it back to him. And he said, "Cash or charge?" And I said, "Keep it." And I said, "What? You've always wanted it?" He said, "Yeah. But I now know I have the option. I now know that I achieved what I wanted to achieve and don't need the symbol of it." And I went, whoa, I learned something just now. He didn't need it. He achieved it. He got it. He didn't need to wear it. And I said, "I would have bought it. I'm sorry. I would have bought it." But that's the thing. He didn't need it. Perfection is a nemesis of the very good. And as long as we try as hard as we can as people to not feel guilty and to do it perfectly, and to be parents and do it perfectly, and to be spouses and do it perfectly, and to be in the corporate world under a lot of pressure and do it perfectly, perfection is a nemesis of the very good. And sometimes doing something very good over an extended period of time is perfect. The problem with us as people, with us as people in the linear mindset, is that as we go up that curve, we oftentimes think that where we are in that growth model is who we are. We identify with the position of where we are as we climb up that curve with who we are, and they're independent things. We become ego involved when you're on top and the market's doing great and the banks are doing great and your stock account's doing great and the wife's in a Jag and you're in a Benz and I'm good. And as soon as it slips, you don't feel good anymore. I'm not good. So where you are is who you are, instead of recognizing, it's a journey. It's transitional and it will change. So your sense of self becomes dependent on where you are on that map. Where you are on that map in that moment of time defines who you are? No, it defines where you are. That's it. I'm not going through a good period right now. Therefore, I'm not good? I don't think that's the case. I'm not going through a good period right now. I'm really good, and I will get through that period. And I am okay. What I'm going through right now sucks. You have no idea how bad it sucks. But that doesn't mean I suck. It means what I'm going through does. And it's a separation of that. So you can strive to keep your identity and position as separate as possible. Where you are in the journey is not who you are as a traveler. Are there any questions about that before I go to the next slide? You can be going through the most horrible depression. And as many of you know, just lost 2 close friends, and a friend of mine just lost her friend. And it sucks. That doesn't mean I suck. And you can become an authentic traveler. Path to the authentic traveler, which is what I'd like to offer